Hello, welcome to another video from me, Mr. Morrison. Today, I have created a thermometer with a microbit. Now, you may have seen my thermometer project before, but this one's slightly different. Here you can see it is measuring because it's got a little dot flashing. That's just to represent it's measuring. This is what I'm calling a maximum and minimum thermometer. So it's going to give me, when I press button A, it's going to give me the minimum temperature it is measured, and I have put this in a couple of places in my house, so we'll see. So the minimum temperature it measured was 18 degrees Celsius, and if I press button B, measured 22. That'll be the maximum temperature. So that means you could leave it for a long period of time overnight, and it'll keep replacing the number if it's lower, and it'll replace the number if it's higher, giving you a maximum and minimum temperature reading in wherever you've put the microbit.
So to code our maximum minimum thermometer, we're going to need both on start and forever. And there's quite a lot involved in this one, quite a lot of logic involved in this. So the first bit of logic is we're going to have to create some variables. We're going to have a variable called current temperature, like that, with a little dash helps. Then another variable called max, and another variable called min. You could do the full words, but the shortened words are easier. Then we're going to set these. So I'm going to set, the first one is current temperature 2, and that would be the actual temperature. So in input, temperature degrees C. And then we're going to set the maximum temperature, first of all. When the microbit starts, we're just going to set that temperature to whatever the current temperature is, because that would be the highest or lowest temperature when you start your microbit. Then I'm going to duplicate this, right click duplicate, and I'm going to make this minimum. So we've got set current temperature to temperature degrees C, set maximum to current temperature and minimum to current temperature. So that's the setup. Then forever, we want to go into basic and we want a show string, and I'm just going to put a dot in here for our show string, and then I'm wanting to set current temperature to degrees C, so I'm going to duplicate this one. So this means it's going to keep setting the current temperature back to whatever the temperature is in the loop. Then in logic, I'm going to find an if true statement, and I'm going to find a logic one here that's a comparison, that something is less than something else. Well, the something is going to be our variable current temperature is less than our minimum. Then we want to set minimum to current temperature. So I'm going to copy the set minimum to current temperature and put it in there. Then I'm going to duplicate this and put it below, but we're going to change some things here. So we're going to do current temperature, then I want to face this the other way, because we had the minimum, we want the maximum. So current temperature is greater than our maximum, so I'm just clicking each time to get to change. Then set maximum to current temperature. Finally, I'm going to put in a pause. I'm going to make my pause 1000 milliseconds or 1 second, and then a clear screen, and this is just making it show the dot, and another pause of 1000 milliseconds. That means it's taking a temperature reading every 2 seconds. Then I'm going to have what happens on button A and button B. So on button A, we can have a show number. Show number, here we are, right at the top. And in our variables, I'm going to drag our min. So show number min, then I'm going to duplicate this, make it button B, and show number max. You could also choose to have a button for A plus B that shows the number current temperature, but I'm not going to put that in just now. So that is my project. Download it onto a microbit, see if it works, and I hope to speak to you in another video very soon.